Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest ATTA Webinar. The chat function is opened, so please let us know what part of the world you're joining us from today. I do understand some of us are enjoying the public holiday, especially those of us joining from South Africa. We'll just wait a few more minutes for others to join the room, and then we'll start. Hi, Julie. Oh, Julie, that's you. Okay, you got me there. Okay, I think we're good to go now. Hi to those of you just joining in. Welcome to our latest episode of our educational series. Today's webinar is brought to you by ATTA in partnership with Weaver, and this will be running every third month until the end of the year, most likely. I think that will be till October. And we're very much excited for what the Weaver team have to offer to our members and non-members who will be participating in this series. We're supposed to commence in May or April rather, but now we're starting now. So it means we have 2 more sessions, which will be in July and October. So do well to mark your calendars and get ready for an exciting learning journey. Our webinars attract a global audience. So if you're just joining in, the chat function is opened. Let us know where you're joining us from today. Our usual housekeeping before we start. The webinar will be recorded. So if at any point you need to jump off the call, be rest assured that a copy of the recording will be made available shortly after the live session. The Q&A box also is just at the bottom of your screen. So if during the session you have any question for the presenter, just do well to pop that in. We'll have some time for Q&A after the presentation. Today's topic is measuring and reporting sustainability metrics in the hospitality sector, leveraging SaaS solutions for independent hotels. And you agree with me, this is a very relevant topic in the hospitality industry today. To take us through the virtual ride, we have Julie Chitam and Nwabisa Njoli. Julie is the founding member and managing director at Weaver. She's a skilled sustainability consultant with experience spanning over 20 years. Our focus lies in sustainability or sustainable development and business transformation. Prior to this, Julie advised a diverse range of clients on their sustainability journey, including the Grootebos Private Nature Reserve, the Long Run. The list goes on. And she has also worked on transformation and sustainability at well-known corporate institutions such as Standard Bank, Distel, BMGI, and National Australia Bank and National Geographic. Nwabisa Njoli also is actively involved in developing content creation and best practice guides for the Weaver Sustainability Software as a Service product. She provides leadership and guidance to client teams, driving organizational change and embedding sustainability across all business aspects through educational workshops on goal setting and impact strategies. Nwabisa and Julie, thanks for joining us today. The virtual floor is yours.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Julie. Let's go to the second slide so that we can just go straight to the agenda. Thank you, everyone. We're very excited to be part of this session, and thank you for making the time. So in this session, we will cover 4 key areas. Number 1, we will discuss various methods to identify and prioritize sustainability goals. Secondly, we will provide examples of sustainability metrics and highlight the most commonly used metrics for tracking sustainability goals for tourism properties. Thirdly, Julie will then provide an overview of SaaS platforms linked or tailored for the sustainable tourism properties. And lastly, we will showcase examples of properties that have successfully used software platforms to track their sustainability data. Thank you, Julie. Thanks, Jules. All right, just before we get to the agenda, we thought it's just really important to highlight that the way we travel is changing significantly. Now, there are many reasons on why properties decide to measure their sustainability progress, especially over the years. Many tourism properties have been looking into tracking their sustainability performance. We cannot unpack all of those reasons now. There's no way we can. But what's certain and for sure is that travelers are being mindful about their sustainability travels. So, for example, a research conducted by the Expedia Group, today's travelers are making increasingly mindful and intentional choices to the hotel properties that they visit, with 90% actively seeking sustainable options when they embark on their journeys. Travelers are increasingly looking for authentic experiences that satisfy their desire to explore and positively impact the places they visit. This shift is closely linked to the growing awareness of global environmental and social issues. I'm going to hand over to Julie to talk about why, and also just remind us why sustainability is no longer a nice to have.
Thank you, Noabs. I think there's a slight lag on the changing of the slides till you can see as the audience. So please let me know if you can't see slides or if they don't change. I'm sure you've all heard of ESG, environmental, social, and governance disclosures, and legislation that is requiring all businesses to disclose beyond just their commercial performance is on the move. From Europe, where you may have heard of the CSRD regulations and the Green Claims Directive across the UK and Europe, all the way through to Asia, Australia, South America, we are seeing different regulation driving compliance in the sustainability arena, where companies have to report on their commercial impacts, both internal and external, and their commercial achievements, but also their social and environmental and governance aspects of their businesses. So reporting and carbon tax is no longer just an issue for big listed corporates and big listed entities. Individual and independent businesses and groups of independent businesses are also being affected. Blessing, just a heads up that I've got 2 team members saying that they can't get into the call. So I'm not sure if you've got any access issues or if you've got any messages from other people that are trying to join the call at this point.
Did you say who now? Who are those?
Just I've got messages from Weaver team members that had registered for the call who aren't able to get in through the link.
Okay.
So
No worries.
just
I'll check.
In case there may be something up. Some of the things that we might be familiar with right now are the CSRD, which is the most talked about disclosure requirements and regulations coming out of Europe. And that means that we need to be able to verify things in our businesses like our carbon footprint. The World Travel and Tourism Council has done a great job with their hotel sustainability basics. And by putting those criteria out there, helps hotels and lodges and tourism businesses to start their journey and look at the basic criteria like energy, water waste, and labor rights, and make sure that you're able to provide evidence on how your business is doing. but it is a little bit like alphabet soup. We've got the TCFD, the TNFD, the GSTC, the GBTA, governing business travel globally, and they're putting out their RFPs. So I'm sure at your hotels, you're receiving questionnaires from agencies saying, what are you doing in your business from a sustainability and environmental management perspective? You've got independent bodies like Travelist that are trying to pull this all together globally, and the World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance that are trying to harmonize all of these standards and benchmarks so that we could have one set of standards and one set of metrics that we should all be reporting on. But that is a work in progress.
Thanks, Jules. All right, as we all know, sustainability is interconnected. For example, we cannot talk about the protection of the natural environment without also thinking about the protection of the people that are in it, as well as the cultural heritage that you may find there. At Weaver, we endorse the long-run system of breaking down areas of focus in sustainable travel into the 4 Cs. That is commerce, conservation, culture, and community. From our perspective, the careful balancing of the 4 Cs make for a very logical and comprehensive balanced scorecard. So for those who have registered to Weaver, maybe they are part of this call, but they will all know that under the 4 Cs, there are parameters, a total of 18 parameters covering everything from customer satisfaction to carbon emissions. But this does not mean you must do everything all at once. And that is why I'm going to speak exactly on this slide that Julie is on. So basically, once you then have thought about your 4 Cs, it's very important not to pressure yourself and overwhelm yourself in thinking about, okay, great, I have to do all of these 18 metrics, or rather, I have to do everything from energy to waste to water. So it's very important that now you start thinking about your sustainability metrics. But then most properties, and I can tell you this whenever we onboard some of our users, is that some of them, they're not necessarily sure where to begin, or maybe they are on their sustainability journey, but then they want to just gain some momentum and also bringing the team members in. So what we always recommend is 2 approaches when you're trying to think about what key metrics you would like to focus on. And those 2 common approaches for selecting metrics are the Global Sustainable Tourism Council criteria, as well as those that are outlined by the World Travel and Tourism Council. These frameworks provide valuable guidance for identifying relevant metrics and assessing sustainability performance. By adopting these approaches and selecting the appropriate metrics, you can better understand where you would like to be and how to get there. But for more questions on these frameworks, please feel free to put any comments or questions in the chat box, because I'm mindful of the time as well. Thank you, Julie. You can over to the next slide. All right. So now let's have the scenario where you are set on your key metrics for your sustainability journey, but now you want to think about, okay, great, what is my vision? What are my goals? Where do I want to get to? Where am I? So we always recommend the importance of setting clear objectives. This could include partnering, or rather think about strategies that you can apply within you and your teammates in the property. But it's very important that you understand the importance of setting clear objectives so that you can understand where you would like to get to in your sustainability journey. Next slide, Jules. All right, okay, so this is a sustainability plan. There are many different approaches that properties can make use of. But in our case, we always recommend the importance of having a sustainability plan. So we run educational workshops that include the sustainability plan. And it's not only for properties that are starting fresh on their sustainability journey. You can also be a mature property, but then maybe you want to revisit certain processes, or you want to make sure that whatever you guys are doing is aligned to the overall vision. So the sustainability plan, essentially, it really summarizes your business's long-term goals. So if you look, so on my side, it's on the left side, but I'm not sure about our audience. But essentially, you would have your vision statement, you visit it, And then what then happens is that you have to think about, okay, great, we need to challenge this vision statement that we've set out for our business. And how you then go about doing this is then you look at the 4 C's. So the conservation, culture, community, and commerce. Challenge the vision statement by looking at the 4 C's lens. And again, it goes back to the comment I made about sustainability being interconnected. And then once you have identified your 4 C's impact goals within the 4 C's, you then have to think about what actions do you need to take to back up those impact goals, right? So that there's accountability, so that there's responsibility within the teammates. So, but essentially what I want to highlight with this slide is that the vision and impact goals need to be aspirational and inspirational. They need to provide guidance for decisions and actions. They are the business's North Star. So to the next slide, I'm gonna go in detail in what I mean by this. Okay, so this is Twalu Kalahari's vision statement. And I just want us to take a moment to read through what the vision is saying. So basically, their vision statement says, we remain committed to leaving our world better than how we found it, and to building sustainable and prosperous societies. We will do this through focused engagement across the land, people, and cultures we touch. And just if we can just stay here for a little bit, and I want us to unpack this vision statement. So there are 3 key themes that come out of here. So it's the aspiration bit. It sets a high aspiration to make positive impact to the world, appealing to the participants to leave a lasting legacy of positive impact on society and the environment. And then on the inspiration bit, you can see that clearly the goal is to inspire participants and the importance of them having a contribution to this vision. And lastly, it's clear. It clearly articulates the intention to promote sustainability and prosperity, providing a clear direction for participants to align their efforts and actions. Thank you, Jules. Okay, great. So I did touch on the 4 C's impact goals, but I'm also mindful of time. So Julia and I are going to focus on just the conservation impact goals. So with these 2 questions, you'll notice that there is consideration not only for the property, right, but beyond the property, right? How can I say, just beyond the scope of your property, but essentially you're not only looking at your internal teams or the land within your property, but you're also looking beyond property level. You're recognizing the importance of creating positive change beyond your immediate surroundings. So these are just examples, for example, that you can just put out there with you and your team on, for example, what is your aspiration for biodiversity conservation in and around your property over the next 3 years? And then the second bit, which goes to the resource management, your energy, water, and waste, what is your aspiration for resource management over the next 3 years? So it unpacks 2 things. If we then go to the next slide, this is when now we start thinking about, okay, great, let's challenge that 4 C's impact goal that we had set out. So on the impact goals, so for example, if you think about, let's say, the environmental resource impact goal that you want to have. So let's say in your property, you would like to reduce water consumption or energy consumption by a certain percentage or even waste, but it's very important to stick to one thing at a time. And then to your right side, that is then the actions that I then mentioned, how the importance of then challenging those impact goals, and not only challenges those impact goals, but then it's also as a way to give accountability and responsibility within your teams, because you cannot only set goals and not have anything to have some actions behind those goals, right? So for example, once you've set out your goal for the 1 or the next 3 years, the actions then, what are you doing over the next 2 months? So that's why we put 12 months there. So what are you doing? It could be having policies in place for water consumption reduction. You could have the thought of having educational workshops. Let's say you have a sustainability officer in your property. Some properties don't have sustainability officers, but let's say you have an intern, or it could be a general manager or an operations manager. What are you doing on a month-to-month basis or on a quarterly basis to make sure that you're embedding the culture of sustainability? So those are just examples of actions that you can think about once you have established your impact goal. So to the next slide. And then there's always a situation where we would run the workshop and we will, communicate all of these different ideas, just like how highlighted now. And then it's not uncommon to just for properties to be like, or maybe a user to be like, we really don't know where to begin. This feels really overwhelming. What do you suggest? And you can never go wrong with just water, energy, and waste metrics. That's it. As a starting point, no pressure, and start your baseline there. Okay, now I'm just going to hand over to Julie to talk about just an overview on the role of SaaS solutions in sustainability management.
Thank you, Novisa. I think the key thing, as Nwabi was saying, your vision will tell you what those key impact objectives are. Like she gave you some nice examples from Swali around biodiversity impacts the property wants to make, and then environmental impacts around energy, water, and waste. And then those very specific actions that you need to take, for example, reducing your energy consumption or having a water management policy in place, which goes to, better water consumption and more sustainable water consumption. You can't manage those if you can't see them. Because how are you going to know if you've improved your energy consumption if you're not able to measure it and you're not able to actually visualize what your energy consumption is? How are you going to know if you've improved your water consumption or your labor force well-being or your community impact or your biodiversity conservation if you can't actually see what you've achieved? And that's where software as a service, or SaaS, comes in to make it easier. We built Weaver, which is a SaaS platform, as one such sustainability management solution. So how Weaver works, you get started, you load your property or properties onto Weaver, you get your data in, either you put it in yourself directly or we ingest it from other systems that you have. You set targets for yourself, and then the system analyzes and measures your progress towards those targets and shows you in a very visual way on your progress that you've made in lovely reports that you can share with your various stakeholders. Get your whole team involved. We've built in different games and tasks and continuous improvement features so that every member of your team, whether it's housekeeping or front of house or maintenance or the general manager, can get involved in their particular part of monitoring, whether it's supply chain analytics or customer satisfaction or energy and carbon footprint. So carbon footprints are a bit tricky to work out for yourself. You can do it in an Excel spreadsheet yourself if you understand the calculations and you have the latest emissions factors, but it's easier to use a SaaS platform like this, where you put in your different energy consumption for a week or a month or a quarter, and then the system is able to generate your scope 1 and 2 and parts of scope 3 carbon emissions for you, your greenhouse gas footprint. There's support that's been built into the system in the form of an intelligent AI bot, which is great because you might not know where to start. So if I want to measure my carbon footprint, what's the first thing I must do? Or what is the Global Sustainable Tourism Council? Or what was my water consumption last month? Was I on target or was I not on target? And so using AI, Weaver helps you to have an easier journey. It's like having a sustainability officer in your pocket. You don't have to go and find all the answers on the system yourself. Some of the key benefits that we found in people using a smart system to manage their sustainability journey, rather than trying to do it themselves with Excel spreadsheets, is that your reporting is automated. So you don't have to worry about checking your calculations or pulling data from your water spreadsheet and your energy spreadsheets and your nature conservation projects, like perhaps Rhino notching or tree planting, and trying to put all of that together on one spreadsheet, you know, with your occupancy data and your other data. The systems do it all for you. So it's a central database where your analytics is run together. It's real-time data collection. So you're not looking at last year's data, and your reports are automated for you. It makes benchmarking and comparison easier. So you understand how are you doing in your property, like other properties that are similar to yours, the same segment, the same kind of geography. How are you doing versus them? It's cost effective and it's scalable. So if you are like the Banyan Tree Group, who we work with, which is, you know, 97 hotels on the platform, it's much easier for them to see all their data in one place versus right down to small B&B that's on the system. So it gives you that scalability rather than having to manually try to compute all of this. I think it's always interesting to share a case study of a property that's doing this well and using digital systems to make their journey easier and to continuously improve and make their business more sustainable. You know, every business has impacts, both positive and negative impact. And so we are using data to help every business understand those impacts and then maximize the positive impacts and amplify those good things that the business is doing, and to try to minimize and mitigate over time any negative impacts. So I'll hand back over to Nwabisa to share one of your fellow ATTA members' stories and how well they've been doing.
Thank you, Julie. It's been amazing supporting Jabulani Safari. They have been utilizing the Weaver software platform. You know, they are leveraging on our customizable dashboards and charts. And, you know, we really look forward to their sustainability progress. So if you look closely at the work that they're doing, so their goal was really on waste management, energy, as well as a bit of carbon footprint highlighted in there. So we have been working closely with the team so that by the end of the year, they are reaching their sustainability goals that they have set out for us. And they have communicated with us in terms of where they would like to be, what goals do they have. So this is only just a start. And hopefully by the end of the year, this is when we can then start having the team think about setting targets and also utilizing our key impact summary report that we are very happy to share with everyone after the call. But essentially, once you are consistent in your data capturing and monitoring, we therefore also just encourage you, to then think about, okay, great, in a nice one pager, what is our overall impact within the 4 Cs? And that is exactly the plan that we have with Jabulani. So this is the only case study that we thought we could just discuss in this session. We're just mindful of time and the time that has been allocated to us. If you can just click on the next slide, Jules.
I thought just before we go off Jabulani, I thought what's great to point out here is they've got some very specific goals, like minimizing their food waste, and also they're transitioning at the moment from regular grid electricity to solar power. And that has got the dual benefit of reducing their carbon emissions, but more importantly, saving them money. So that helps them to mitigate some of the funding scarcity issues, that they have. And tracking this data gives them also good information as to how long that payback period would be. How soon are they paying off that renewable energy system? So the data-driven approach is being really valuable for them. The other thing I wanted to point out is that Jabulani has noted on several occasions, it's expensive to transition sometimes to going into like off-the-grid solutions or renewable solutions. And I wanted to give you another example of one of the properties that works with us in Singapore called Mandala Club. They've actually used their baseline data that they've gathered in the system to receive preferential loan terms for a financial loan that they've recently applied for to do renovations to their property. And so because they were able to provide all the environmental data that they had tracked in Weaver, they were able to secure funding at far more preferential terms for their commercial business. And so the data really does make a difference.
Certainly. And these are some of the ATTA members that are using Weaver. So as you can see, we've got the Vineyard Hotel, we've got House in the Wild. We actually have a call with them this coming week. And then as you can see, we have Jabulani at the bottom. So essentially, really what I want to highlight is that, you know, if you ever want to explore your options and you're thinking about really just improving on your sustainability performance, we have a fabulous team of a support team within our sustainability team. We also have a lovely Connect team that could help you for any questions you may have, or maybe if you want to just explore the platform really and just take the time and see the different metrics that are in there. We can, you know, happily assist you for any questions or comments that you have. Over to you, Jules.
Thank you, Nwabi. I think just wanted to point out two other things. ATTA members get a preferential rate for Weaver. I think it's either 15 or 20% discount. I'm sorry, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but you have an ATTA discount code that you can use to get a reduced annual license fee for your Weaver software. And there is a free license offered for any non-profit entities that you may work with. So, for example, if you are Swalu Kalahari, the Swalu Foundation gets a free software license so that they can track and monitor and evaluate their impacts and report back to their donors. And so that's one of the ways that we're partnering with ATTA to give back to your nonprofit partners that you work with in the conservation and social impact realm, and all of the amazing work that many of you do at your properties. I think that's probably it from Nwabisa and I. You know, just start. Every bit counts, and you know, progress, not perfection. So whether you're just starting today by switching off light switches and putting, you know, electricity meters in and reading how much energy you're using so that you start to understand that, and in the future you can use less. Or if you're super mature and you're looking at, you know, cultural interpretation for your area without cultural misappropriation, and how to, you know, improve the socioeconomic situation and circumstances in your host communities. Doesn't matter where you are, it just matters that we all, you know, get on the journey and then measure so that we're able to have an evidence base for the stories that we're telling about the incredible work that our industry does. I guess we're happy to take a few questions now, Blessing.
Great. Thank you so much, Nwabisa. Thank you, Julie. That was quite an interesting one, very informative and educative as well. We now have some time for Q&A. So like we mentioned earlier, if you've got any question for Julie or Nwabisa, just pop that into the Q&A box just at the bottom of your screen, and we'll just run through those questions quickly. We have one question from Lillian. Is there a trial version of Weaver for Weaver?
Lillian, there's a demo version, so you're able to go into Weaver and create your profile and then utilize the demo version, which has some fictitious hotels with their fictitious data created that you can go and sort of explore the platform.
Okay, great. Just wait a few more minutes, see if there's more. Okay, I guess our listeners are very much satisfied with the presentation and everything is well understood. I would say please do well to utilize the opportunity you have as being as an ATTA member to, you know, get involved with Weaver and, you know, use the platform for your own benefit. Still trying to wait to see if we'll get any more questions. But yeah, there's none. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, this is a series that will be running every third month, but the next one, of course, will be in July, since we didn't start April. So just look out for ATTA emails Okay, I think there's some coming in now. Okay, as a company with multiple properties, can I pull reports comparing various properties at once?
So
Maybe.
so I can answer the second question, and Julie can take the third one on benchmarking and comparison.
Cool.
So on the Weaver system, there's an option for you to either load one property or multiple properties. And we have a feature really that allows you to compare property A with property B. So it's very much possible for you to explore that feature, whether you would like a comparative view or what a consolidated view, an average view. There are 3 options for you that you can explore. So as Juliet mentioned, that if you look at the demo properties and there's already data loaded in there, you can do that yourself and see how it would look and whether it would fit the goal that you have.
Thanks, Nobisa. And
Great.
if you are a company with multiple properties and multiple sub-brands, there's also different hierarchies. So you can, we can set up to have umbrella groups, sub-brands, properties. So it depends on your needs. If you have slightly more complicated needs like that, it's a great idea just to get in touch with us so that we can map it out for you. Lillian asks about benchmarking and comparison. Yes.
Yeah.
So Lillian, for now, you can compare to other properties within your own property group if you are part of a larger group. We do have benchmarking data internally, but we're not going to release it until we have at least 1,000 properties actively capturing their data. So by the end of this year, we should be able to release benchmarking data because we want to have a big enough data sample so that you're getting accurate comp sets in your comparisons. And you won't ever have, in relation to your last question, access to other people's data, but you will have the data on an anonymized basis. So let's say you're a lodge in East Africa, you will have comparative data on an anonymized basis to say, on average, this is what the other lodge type properties with so many rooms in your geo location with similar, kind of circumstances is doing. So there's different market segments for comparison, and you will compare to your own market segment. But Weaver is like your own impact accounting system. So just like you would never share accounting data from one business with another business, we would never share your data with another hotel or another restaurant or another lodge.
Okay, great. Thank you, Julie. The next question says, is Weaver solely for properties or ground handlers can use it?
So Weaver has been built for properties. This first version of Weaver that's been, available for the last year and a half. We are building an itinerary impact version for the trade, where you can track the full journey impact, and that will be useful for ground handlers. I hope that it'll be ready by the end of this year. We'll keep you posted. We do have a number of DMCs, OTAs that are using Weaver, but they just will use, for example, carbon footprinting, water, waste, employee well-being. Maybe they're tracking their conservation projects or their community projects. They're just ignoring the bits about guest numbers, occupancy numbers, RevPAR, because obviously those were built specifically for hotels. So you're welcome to use Weaver, as long as you know that you've got indicators in there that might not be relevant to your business for now, and we're working on the industry version.
Great. Thank you so much for that. And with that, we've come to the end. Oh my God, that's another question. Weaver compatibility with other booking systems.
So Weaver has an open API key with a full manual for how to push your data into our system via the API, and our tech team can help you to do that. We already have standing API functionality with certain systems like Cloudbeds. So it depends on what booking system you use. I think we're working on Opera next. But depending on the booking system you use, we might already have the API set up and fully mapped, but otherwise our API is open. And so you can use your team, if you've got someone that's a bit technology savvy on your side, to work with our tech team to map your data straight into our system so we can ingest from your booking system rather than you having to put it in manually yourself.
All right. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for
Oh,
that answer.
Tour plan and race request. So we haven't pre-mapped those two yet, but as I said, our tech team can help your tech person to map, and then your data can be automatically ingested because the key and all of the instructions are already there.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna wait for a few more minutes before I try to wrap up.
No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's no one else trying to ask a question. So if you have
It's
any
great that
questions,
everyone
we
is
still have
engaging, actually.
some time. Just pop that in and we can treat the questions as fast as we can. Okay. Great. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you. I think with that now we've come to the end of the webinar. And thank you once again, Julie. Thank you, Nwabisa. It was a
Thank
very
you.
interesting session. And like they mentioned, there's actually an offer for ATTA members, I think both for travel agents and tour operators, hotels, travel agents and tour operators. And maybe we can have that confirmed and include this in the communication that goes out with the recording. A copy of the recording will be sent out once it is processed. So if you need to catch up on anything, you don't need to worry. We'll send this out as soon as we have the recording processed. The next session, like I said, will be in July and in October. So just be on the lookout for ATTA emails and register as soon as you can. All right.
Thank you for having us.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
everyone. Thank you, Blessing. Thanks to your
enjoy the
ATTA
rest
team.
of your day. Yeah.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.